All right, we are live. What is up, YouTube boxing family? It is K Rod 7435 back with another good boxing live stream. I was supposed to give my post fight reaction thoughts in regards to, I guess, like the fights that were happening yesterday or last night, but unfortunately, I got too tired and I had to stop it. So I apologize for those that were looking forward to listening to what I had to say. But let me give out my personal thoughts on what happened this past weekend. I got a whole list of banners that I'm going to put down on my screen. And yeah, we're just going to get right to it. I'm going to just give my personal initial thoughts and we'll just go from there. So, yeah, let's get right to it. For anybody that pulled
Yeah.
up into the chat, I got it shown onto my computer. So whoever's here, uh, yeah, come through, and we're gonna talk, some good boxing. So let's talk about the very first topic: Jose Vargas versus Zapata, Jose Zapata recap, and Jerron Boots Ennis' recent victory over Thomas Delorme and Jamal James' first or his a second career KO loss, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Figured I'd talk about that because that's a pretty important fight to talk about, and I was like pretty surprised about the outcome per se. I wasn't surprised about Boots winning. I was more surprised about Butaev defeating Jamal James, which that fight was a little bit expected for him to lose. I wasn't expecting him to come out as fresh compared to the last outing with Thomas Delorme. He looked really basic, and he looked like he only barely survived that fight simply for the manner that he was able to win. But ever since then, his skill set was just never there 100%. And I kind of felt like eventually somebody's going to knock him off because, his skill set and style is just tailor made for somebody to just go in there, break him down in the later rounds, and then eventually possibly stop him. Granted, Jamal James is a good fighter, but I never really thought too highly of him. I kind of thought of him as like a road runner journeyman. I never really thought of him to be that good of a fighter per se, but he definitely came out, to fight. He got, his ass beat, but it was a good fight while it lasted. But I was not coming here to just say, bad things about him. I'm just being honest to tell you that like the level of competition he's faced, it was good competition, but at the same time, he was never being propped up as that big top welterweight because his body is not really built to be a welterweight. If we're gonna be honest, if anything, he's more built to be a 154 pounder or at least a 160 pounder due to his height being so tall at 6'2", with a 70-inch arm reach. You ought to think like that type of height would favor somebody at a bigger weight, but no, for surprisingly, a guy his height can somehow make 147, knowing that his body doesn't even look right at 147. So I was glad that he got knocked out because I didn't really like his fighting style to begin with, and he was just very like, how should I say, he was just too basic. You know what I'm saying? Like he was too predictable, and he made himself look really really bad. Um, Other fighters on the card like Michelle Rivera, Darwin Price, and Jose Tito Sanchez. That was a good fighter. Um, David Lopez, really good fighter. They all got some good victories, but still, I'd say like more specifically, Jerron Ennis showed out his true potential against Thomas Delorme. He knocked him out in one round. Um, I guess over on the top ranked side, Josue Vargas and Jose Zepeda, they had a really pretty short fight. I was very shocked that Jose Zepeda knocked out Josue Vargas. That was a very uh, short-lived fight, which I would probably blame the lack of fundamentals used by Josue Vargas against Jose Zepeda. Which, Zepeda, he definitely came to fight. I wasn't expecting anything different other than what he was going to show out in this fight. Pretty much at the same Jose Zepeda that you see, he comes forward and he's going to land big power shots on you. That's really what I was kind of looking at, Josue to kind of watch out for. But, little did I know, he just kind of went out there. And after like the very first or so couple, seconds, he just got clipped and then boom, he got knocked down. He wasn't able to basically recover with his, legs on time. And he just felt absolutely just wobbly and very zombie-like. And Zepeda, he came in there and he KO'd him right away. So I find that very disappointing because, like, 4 Puerto Ricans basically lost as of yesterday. That being Josue Vargas, Jean Carlos Torres, which, I never thought too high of him. He got stopped in 6 rounds by Darwin Price, a very good fighter, by the way. The other fighter was Carlos Caraballo and Thomas Delorme against Boots Ennis. So, yeah, very sad day for Puerto Rican boxing, but I'm always standing, behind all my Puerto Rican fighters, win, lose, or draw. So I truly have more support for Puerto Rican fighters more than anybody else because, I don't give two craps about losses. Losses actually make you better regardless of how people want to view it. Losses are only lessons from, your past mistakes of what you could have done better. So whatever makes you stronger is what you can, return back, with a much higher, dedication and motivation for the next outing. So, like for me per se, I used to wrestle in high school and I never cared about losses. And every time I lost, I got way better and I started winning a lot more because that one particular loss just, skyrocketed my skill set to understand what flaws that I had to correct. And then once I got those, cradled skills put together, I was just like super good. And, this is only at the JV level, but still, it's like, even if I was at the varsity level, it still didn't make a difference. The fact was just that just because guys were better than me in actual wrestling, sparring matches or real matches didn't really mean that they were going to be better than me forever. They just got the best of me. So either way, I would probably say like when it's translated over to boxing, boxing has this really horrible deficiency, publicity record of like, crapping on fighters when they are trying to get better in their careers. But, the minute a fighter loses, the fans just automatically crap on them and just say, oh, well, you're just bad, blah, blah, blah. And, like you're not that good of a fighter. And, you need to, give it up, hang it up, take a look at all the other greats, even though that they've taken losses and people didn't give two craps about that. But now in this new age of boxing where everybody's basically pussified to believe in what other people say to them ever since birth, it's like people just have this weird, gladiator pussified mindset to say, hey, if you get beat by the strongest gladiator in your arena or in your coliseum, you shouldn't go back to the coliseum no more. You should just basically be left out for dirt. What? No, you come back and you prove to the world why you are the strongest gladiator in the fucking coliseum. That's how it works. Same thing in war. You can't call yourself a soldier unless you're mentally and physically prepared to be a soldier. And there's no such thing as a better soldier. Whoever has like the better skills on the battlefield is the more deadlier warrior on the on the combat battlefield to show their mentality to go through carnage, pain, uh, you know, um, intense, psychological warfare, anything that you could think of like what soldiers had to go through. Like, if you apply that same principle to boxing, it's just like that. Boxing is 90% mental and 10% physical. Oh, hey, how's it going, L-Dub? Salute to you. Shout out to L-Dub. For those of you that don't know him, please go give him a subscribe to his channel, including Kano Local Sports. Support the fully loaded boxing talk on Kano's channel. But thank you for pulling up. But yeah, in regards to this fight card, I wasn't so surprised. I personally thought Josue Vargas, he just made a little tiny mistake and he just got caught into the mix, and it just happened out of nowhere. Like, does this mean Jose Vargas, he needs to hang it up in boxing and he shouldn't be fighting no more? Hell no. Plenty of fighters that have had multiple losses on their careers, and they've come back and they've done great things, at the very end of their careers. They have been remembered for the ages. But just because Vargas loses doesn't mean that he's out of the woods. He's only 23 years old. He's only getting better, and I don't see what is wrong with him other than he just needs to work on a couple of skills, and then eventually he'll be back on track. I personally don't give two craps about losses, but to many retarded casuals in boxing, they're always going to resort to that type of thinking anyway, because they've never stepped inside the ring and they've never touched, the canvas and actually learn how to get up like a real champion, even if you do win, lose, or draw. But still, it's like, just because you lose doesn't make you a shitty fighter. Because if that's not the case, then guys like Muhammad Ali and all the other greatest fighters in boxing should have been quit ever since they got their first L. So that don't make any damn sense. Boxing as a sport where you have to live, breathe, and shit boxing. You have to be mentally capable to go through the wars and go through the storm and weather it, to be that dangerous warrior that is brought out of your mental and physical soul of who you are as a person. That's why boxing is labeled to be one of the most hardest sports in the world, but boxing is by far one of the most honest sports in the world because it brings the best out of you. Yeah, you don't play boxing. Same thing for, you don't play wrestling. But the one common similarity that both sports has is that you have to have two balls coming up inside, or basically walking inside that ring, or basically walking to the center of the ring of fire to be mentally and physically prepared for what is to come, because you don't know what's going to happen to you, because it is the theater the theater of the unexpected, and nothing is guaranteed when you fight up inside that ring of fire, and you could either die or you could brutally get hurt in the sport. Either way, and that's a huge toll that's going to be taken out of your life every time you exert your energy and your physical labor and your health being risked on the line to give the enjoyment to a bunch of idiotic casuals that have never stepped inside the ring to take a brutal ass whooping. So either way, Vargas, he did his thing. He just has to fix up on a couple deficiencies, and I think eventually he'll be back on track, man. I don't see how his career is over. Obviously, he got embarrassed in front of his family, which is sad. But I don't see that to really be such a major setback. Other than, look, you lost. You weren't really supposed to, actually fight Zepeda 20 plus fights in. But then again, you actually had the courage and honor to call him out because he was a dangerous fighter, being ranked so high up inside of the rankings, and knowing that he didn't have a good performance against Hank Lundy, he definitely wanted to make a statement out of you So sadly, he didn't get the result that he wanted. But I think he's either gonna go through the I want to say either the Adrian Broner effect or the I don't know. Like, I want to basically call it like the Muhammad Ali effect. Like when Muhammad Ali, when he lost his first fight, he didn't just run to the corner and started crying and started to say, "I'm no longer the greatest fighter in the world." He got better and he went back to the drawing board and he started to just skyrocket in his career. And ever since Muhammad Ali just came back better than ever, he started just basically knocking people off so quick and easily because his style was just getting better and better. So my final thoughts on this first topic is that if Josue Vargas wants to make a statement in his next outing, he's just basically needs to go back to the drawing board, work on his deficiencies, with his trainer and his team. And I truly believe he will be back up there because there's really nothing bad that you could say about him other than maybe his chin could be chinny. Who knows? From the looks of it, it just kind of looked like he just decided to take unnecessary shots by Zepeda and he got caught into the mix. So therefore, people might want to say he has a glass chin. But I just think, honestly, it was just a unexpected shot that he didn't see. And then, boom, he got clipped and knocked out. So there's really no hate on that. It's just more like, okay, you fucked up. You got to go back, fix that up, get your defense really, really good, and then boom, he'll be back. Because guess what? Floyd Mayweather, he almost got knocked out by Shane Mosley. But guess what Floyd Mayweather did? Floyd Mayweather, he decided to get his legs, back into proper position, and he started to defensively recover as the fight went on. But he was also making those quick major adjustments in the fight that was breaking Mosley down, and then Mosley wasn't able to use his power and use his pressure on Mayweather, and that's what made Mayweather still win the fight, even though people want to say, oh, he still lost that fight because he was hurt and blah blah blah, and take a look at his face and take a look at Shane's face. No, that's not how boxing works. Boxing is hit and not get hit, and whoever is hitting and dodging more bullets or dodging more shots to the face, they automatically win. It's basically who is using the more high IQ, micro, macro, chess-like decisions, because it's basically a chess match in a toe-to-toe war. But you're not going to have the same opponent that's just going to come toe-to-toe with you. That's why that the saying is still true till this day, that styles make fights. So whatever style that you may think could be good for you to compete against the other fighter, you don't know that until you walk up inside that ring and then you test your skills to the highest maximum. So my final thoughts on this is that Vargas, he's a very good boxer, but as far as puncher, I don't think it's there. I think honestly he's more of a pure boxer, semi-volume puncher. He does not have punching power, but he has some sting where he can hurt you and he can break you down. So I think what he needs to work on, he just needs to work on his pure boxing ability and just cradle that to become a more defensively technical sound boxer, where he could still he could still go in whenever he sees the right opportunity to hurt somebody, but don't be in there too long. Keep it to the outside. Be more of a mid outside range fighter, and I guarantee you, Josue Vargas will definitely become a bigger threat at 140. Because maybe it could be the weight itself, because Josue Vargas, if anything, he should be built for 147. But then again, if he's still able to make 140 and he's able to look a lot stronger and more agile at that weight, then I can understand why him and his team don't want to go to 147 yet, and they want to keep the weight at 140 because they believe that 140, Josue, he's a lot more faster and he's a lot more sharper with his punches at 140. But then again, there's levels to this game, and what if you meet a guy like Zepeda again, where he has great knockout power, but then again, if his feet are trash and you can just take advantage of that. Which, I don't truly believe power beats every fighter, because obviously that's not true. Even though that we've seen plenty of fighters argue about that, and that's never to be the case. Power doesn't win fights. It's the boxing IQ ability that wins fights. That's why the boxer will always beat the puncher. But if you could bring those two styles together and become a boxer puncher, that's a bad style matchup for anybody. You'll automatically beat that fighter when you bring in the better, technically sound defensive and offensive IQ decision making tactics to defeat and dismantle your opponents a lot quicker. Um, but no, either way, I was really happy to have watched that fight. Not to say that I'm happy to see my Puerto Rican fighters get defeated, but it was a good fight while it lasted. I hope, Vargas can make a good comeback and beat the crap out of his next opponent. And whatever Zepeda does for the rest of his career, he's in for a very tough ride, and that's going to be very difficult. But as far as Boots' victory over Thomas Delorme, he did amazing. I would really like to see him in there with all the top welterweights at this point. People really need to stop calling him a prospect. He's not a prospect no more. Jaron Ennis is a full-blown contender. He has 20 plus fights under his resume. He's basically 28-0 right now. So it's like, that is not a prospect. That's a contender. And when you've reached 20 plus fights in your professional career, do not tell a fighter like Boots to say, well, knowing that you're still a prospect, who would you want to face that is on your level in the welterweight division before you get up to the top level fights? No, Jaron Ennis will probably flip you off and tell you, like, nah, dude, I'm ready for those top guys. I'm young, I'm hungry, and I already he's already proven that he has the skills to possibly beat those guys, but he needs to be put inside the ring to face those guys. That's what will make Boots a more decorated fighter at the end of the day. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, yeah, basically, to finalize that point, Jaron Ennis, he's definitely ready for all the top welterweight competition. He just needs to be put inside the ring for it. So, I don't really see anything, wrong with his style. I think Jaron Ennis is a bad style matchup to a lot of guys at the welterweight division. But whatever he chooses to go for his road to that first title route, by all means, keep fighting guys that are still credible names for you to build up your career. And I personally believe that will definitely elevate him to the next level. So I would probably say for the next 5 opponents for Jaron Ennis, and I'll probably go with Josue Vargas after this. would probably be guys like, I mean, if we're going to talk about guys in the top 10, I would definitely try to go for Raza Butayev if you could get his WBA regular title belt away from him, um, in which I would definitely favor Jaron Ennis to defeat him. And if that's not possible, I definitely try to go after a guy like maybe Kudratio Abudakarov. I'm not so sure if the IBF is going to mandate him to fight Arrow, but still, if you could take off any of these guys at least in the top 25, I guarantee you, Jerron Boots Ennis, he's going to smack the living crap out of everyone, and he's going to be on his way. But if that can't work, my third opponent would be Abel Ramos. I think that would be an amazing fight. I think him and Abel Ramos would be a very difficult matchup together. I would basically favor Boots to annihilate him, but still, Abel Ramos, he's a dog, he's a warrior. He doesn't give two craps about who you are. You know, the record speaks for himself. He's 27 and 4-2, but that man, he's basically dominated some really good names under his resume. He went to war with Ugas, which that came to a split decision, in which many had thought Ugas was, destroying him the entire fight, but that fight was, on paper close, but still, he beat the crap out of Brian Perella. He beat the crap out of Francisco Santana, which, I understand these aren't like credible names, but still, he definitely has great competition that has cradled his skills and abilities to be up there. He went to war with Ivan Baranjic. He went to war with Jamal James, which that was a very difficult fight, by the way. A lot of people had thought that was a draw or he could have won that fight, which I personally thought he actually had won that fight. It was a difficult fight at one point, but I thought Abel, he barely won that fight. Regis Prograis, even though that he got stopped, that was like the only person that stopped him. And everything else is like, guys that he's just fought in the past aren't really known. But still, I think him and Boots would be a really good fight. He definitely needs to get back into the ring. It's been literally like almost 5+ months since he fought. So he hasn't fought at all since, basically, May 1st of that actual start of 2021. And then the fight before that was with Ugas. So, that's not really good to stay, inactive like that. I'm pretty sure he's still looking for a fight, but he can easily, call up Al Heyman and say, hey, give me Boots or give me at least Blair Cobbs, which some people were saying that's going to be Jaron Ennis' next opponent, but I don't think him and Blair are going to fight each other, so I'm going to hold that off. But I would probably say for the final opponent would be Virgil Ortiz. As many want to say that Virgil Ortiz, he's not looking forward to fighting Boots. I'm pretty sure, if anything, if either sanctioning body wants to order that fight for a world title eliminator, I guarantee you Virgil Ortiz, he's not going to turn down that fight. They're both hungry. They're both pretty much going to see each other at the top. I don't see that many other top welterweights meeting them at the top. I think Boots and Virgil are going to see each other either for undisputed or they're going to see each other for a world title. But they're definitely going to have to see each other because once EJ and Crawford and Ugas and Danny Garcia and Sean Porter leave, it's pretty much just, game over at this point. So I would like to see where the welterweight division is going to go because there's so much smoke at the welterweight division that's, growing fast. And a lot of fighters are coming and going. So I think for me personally, what the Kings at welterweight is going to be Speedy Rashidi Ellis. It's going to be Jaron Boots Ennis. It's going to be Virgil Ortiz Jr. And then I'd probably maybe say Conor Benn, but I'm not going to think so high up on him until he starts actually proving it to me. But maybe let the next fighter after that would probably be, I don't know. I really can't see a good credible name on BoxRec that I could use, but um, if we could see maybe, uh, I don't know, man. Some of these guys, I'm not really too high up on them, but if I'm gonna pick a wild guess, I would like to see maybe a Montestanionis possibly win a title, but knowing that he's gonna fight Ugas, if that's ever gonna happen, which I hope it doesn't happen, that's going to be a pretty good win if he could beat Ugas, which I probably would say Ugas he can be beatable, especially with how his style is. He just comes forward and he tries to technically outbox you from the inside, and I don't like that out of Ugas. He takes a lot of unnecessary blows, but then again, Jaron Ennis, he is a very uh, very dangerous fighter. He's a high risk, low reward type of fight, and he's not going to give up on anything. So whatever you throw at him, he's going to beat the crap out of that opponent, and he's got to prove to you why he is number one at the welterweight division. But that's my personal first five or next five opponents that he could get before he could be sanctioned by either of the sanctioning bodies that he's ranked as of now, which I know he's ranked third in the IBF. And I think he's ranked 5 or 6 by the WBA, but still, it's like Jaron Ennis. He, he doesn't need to be climbing up, up that ladder. He's gonna get called up, and Jaron Ennis, he is not going to be avoided for that much longer until the sanction bodies recognize him to say, look, you've been smacking everybody around, you've been dominating everybody. Shit, I mean, they might as well just, start giving him world title shots right now. Because if anything, once EJ can try to at least try to get that unification belt with Ugas or whoever, because I mean, whoever is left is pretty much is Terrence Crawford and Yordenis Ugas, but that's pretty much it. But obviously, the sanction bodies are trying so hard to try to prevent Undisputed at 147. I think eventually it's going to have to happen because if the fans don't want to see that type of BS, they're going to have to, speak up on it and try to say to these sanction bodies, look, we don't want to see Errol Spence face a mandatory. We want to see Spence versus all the other champions, and whoever wins, wins. That's pretty much it. But let's switch topics, and I'm going to go in on Devin Haney versus Gervonta Tank Davis as a possible fight, replacement, where Devin Haney could be a possible name for Gervonta Tank Davis's fight replacement opponent for his upcoming bout, which was canceled between him and Rolando Rolly Romero. So I personally think this is a really good replacement opponent if Gervonta Tank Davis and his team can just stop being afraid, take the risk with Devin Haney. If Devin Haney is able to be that next opponent to take over Rolly's spot, which there will be 2 belts on the line, that's going to be a big ass fight in Vegas, and or in Los Angeles, California, over in the Staples Center. I would like that fight, and I think it would definitely do massive pay-per-view numbers, and that's definitely going to be a 50-50 matchup. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I have something personal going on. All right, I'm back. Sorry, just had something personal going on. So yeah, that would be a pretty good possible fighter replacement for Gervonta Tank Davis. I hope Devin Haney could be available for that next opponent because I do not want to see Gervonta Tank Davis fight some unknown fighter that we don't want to see, which I wouldn't be against the idea of him bringing in a guy like, even though that it's too early in his career, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't give two craps about it. But if he could probably fight a guy like Jose Valenzuela, I wouldn't mind that fight. Or we could probably see, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, man, because it's really risky to kind of see like where we want to see Gervonta Tank Davis fight next, but I don't really care. I'm all about for the best fighting the best, but by looking at these rankings, if Gervonta Tank Davis cannot, or if he has Rolly, out the picture for this fight, I think it's going to be probably. Let's take a look at the ratings. Yeah, the rankings. I want to see the rankings. We could see them. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, so out of the 15 rankings for, Gervonta Tank Davis's WBA regular title, the fighters that are listed right now is Rolando Romero. He's out the picture. Michelle Rivera at number 2. He just recently had a fight, so I don't think he's going to be ready for Tank. Vasily Lomachenko, that is not going to happen. He's going to fight Richard Colme December 11th, or whatever day of that month. He's not going to fight Tank. Number 4 is Roman Andreev. That's not a really good sellable fight. Number 5 would be Jorge Linares. I don't see that happening, but if he's able to take a fight with Tank, I definitely would see it. Number 6 would be Jezreel Corrales. Not a good fighter, in my honest opinion, but he has good talents to actually give Tank problems. But that would be a decent fight to watch. He's a Panamanian black fighter that went to war with Chris Colbert, in which Colbert still defeated him. Or he could possibly face Isaac Cruz Gonzalez or Frank Martin, who is ranked number 8 as of now by the WBA. And then number 9, 10, 11, and 12, and 13, 14, and 15 is George Kambosos, or 9 is Oliver Flores, George Kambosos Jr., William Zepeda, Gary Cully, Miguel Vasquez, Seichiro Yoshino, and number 15, Zapir Rasulov. Yeah, so honestly, to me, I personally would like to see Devin Haney become that next fighter replacement for Tank, but some reports have came out to say that Tank could be fighting Jojo Diaz, which Jojo Diaz, he's supposed to fight Devin Haney, but look, if I'm Gervonta Tank Davis, why not go after Devin Haney? Because unification is Trump mandatory, so why the hell would you want to go after Jojo Diaz instead of going after Devin Haney? Because that don't make any goddamn sense. And yet Gervonta says he wants to fight Devin, but yet you don't have any opportunity to ever speak up against Floyd Mayweather to say, look, I don't care what the hell you want me to do. I want these fights. And if anything, Gervonta, he should go against, let the grain against Floyd Mayweather. He should tell him, fuck you, man. I don't need you, behind me. He has his own stable down in Baltimore. He can easily run his own promotional business. He could probably co-promote with other promotional stables. He does not need Floyd Mayweather. And I'm probably going to have to make a video about that, making my case to say why Gervonta Tank Davis does not need Floyd Mayweather. He really does not need fucking Floyd. Floyd is just there as a basically as a financial backing shield to give Gervonta Tank Davis, the somewhat big money fights and get basically just lapdog him. That's basically what Floyd Mayweather is doing to Tank. He's basically lapdogging Gervonta's career, similar to what Bob Arum did to Floyd. And Floyd doesn't realize it as a promoter because he does not know business with fighters. He has not done anything like that for his other fighters. He has been basically one of the worst promoters for most of his fighters. And I'm just gonna keep it real. Like Floyd Mayweather is just not a good businessman when it comes to, actually managing fighters and giving them what they want. Because if that was true, you probably see a lot more champions out of the Mayweather promotional stable. Even though that Tank Davis is a champion, and there was other fighters such as Ava Knight, very beautiful, awesome lady, and who else? Andrew Tabiti. I don't think Tabiti ever won a title though. Hold on, let me take a look at that. I don't think he's ever won a title, but still, it's just like the Mayweather stable is not. They're like they're obviously not the most active group of group of fighters that are actually doing well for their careers. So, it's not really doing them any justice by trying to stay with Floyd Mayweather and just expect, let the big money bags, come into them, because that's not true, because it pretty much shows that Floyd Mayweather is not treating these fighters with, actual respect and actually giving them what they need to, get. Because if they were to get what they were supposed to get, I don't know. It honestly, it's just sad, and I really wish Mayweather fighters actually had a better, financial outing of what they need to go through in order to make that bag. Because pretty much shows they they obviously don't need Floyd Mayweather in their career. They just need to have that financial cushioning behind their brand and behind their fighting career, and then they're able to just get all the fights made with no promotional restrictions. Because I don't like this idea that promoters can control and basically make the call for a fight to be made, because that don't make any damn sense. The fighters should be the ones to make the call if they want to fight each other. But if you're ranked in and I'm a champion and I don't want to fight you, there should be a rule in place to say that the champion needs to give up their belt to the mandatory if they don't want to fight them. Fuck you. You should not be the champion forever. But then on top of that, there should not be multiple champions in boxing. But if there is to be such a thing in boxing, those champions need to be forced to fight one another, so that way the gold could be spread around every single fighter that gets a shot to fight for a world title or titles. Because if you're going to have titles in boxing, it needs to be centralized to the point where you don't have money taken away from you, you earn more money from it, and you earn more money with all the big, tougher fights that you get into. Even as a contender, that should be the marketized incentive to give boxers what they want. So in regards to this Devin Haney versus Gervonta Tank Davis fight replacement idea, this is a perfect idea for Team Devin Haney and Team Davis to actually come together and actually just make the damn fight. Gervonta Tank Davis is like, what, 26, about to be 27? I want to say he's almost at the same age as me, but according to, I guess, at the birthday report or at the birthday record, he was born in 94, so he's basically like a year older than me. So I want to say he should be 27, because that don't make any sense. But then again, I want to say he has to be. I don't know, man. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's like Gervonta Tank Davis, he's going to be 27 in like what, 6 days, right? Yeah, his birthday is on November 6th. But still, it's like Tank, he should not even be, held back by Floyd Mayweather to get these fights made. This man's not going to get any younger. So I say have Tank fight Devin, fight Tio, fight Shakur, fight all these guys, so that way he can get his shine and he could do what what he needs to do, because he could definitely have the potential to beat these guys, but we're not gonna know until he's put inside the ring with them. But it better not be like when he's like 30 plus years old, because that's going to be a really bad look on Mayweather Promotions and Floyd Mayweather himself, including Leonard Ellaby, of them screwing over Tank's career. And I kind of feel like that's what they're doing. They obviously don't want to, get rid of Tank yet, but they're going to probably get rid of him when his skill set and his abilities not you useful to their promotional stable, and then they're going to try to feed him to the lions of somebody that we don't know that will probably stop him, and then boom, Gervonta will be basically thrown away. But I don't want to see that happen. I want to see Tank have a good, long-lasting career and have good, high-quality, credible wins or losses, regardless of how his career goes. But it's very necessary to make this fight happen, so that way Gervonta Tank Davis can prove his legacy in so many divisions that he is yet to conquer, and he needs to get it done. And I say the time is now. Make this fight happen at 135, so that way Devin and Tank can get it going, make some money, and then boom, whoever wins this fight, they can move on, go for undisputed with Tio, and then boom, move on. Because we all know that Tank Davis, he is a massive pay-per-view star, and Devin Haney, he is definitely a pay-per-view star. Regardless of what anybody says, he cannot sell, tickets. He just sold, dude. He made like $5 to $10 million in his last fight, because he is a promoter himself. Just to let you guys know, but Devin Haney, he has way more financial backing on the back end versus of what's shown on paper on the front end. So just to keep y'all clear, Devin Haney, he makes way more money off the back end because he is a promoter of himself. And that's what every fighter should be, a promoter of yourself. You should not have anybody telling you what to do. But then again, if boxing was a fight league, you should still be able to promote yourself, because that's what the fighters are doing. You're promoting yourself to get out in there, put your life on the line, and put on a massive performance. It's not supposed to be no movie, like some movie theater, scene, like a scene set where some director tells you what to do. No, you go in there for the love of the sport and for the drive of massive competition. So yeah, make this fight happen. I want to see it. Let's go. So next topic, Amanda Serrano, the Puerto Rican Princess Queen. She will be fighting at 135, if I'm not mistaken. But against who? Katie Taylor could possibly be next after. The only reason why I say this is because I'll give credit to the information that I got, but I heard it from Kana Loco Sports. For those of you that don't know, he's very close and connected, I guess, with like the team for Amanda Serrano. But I'm not going to give out any personal update of what Amanda Serrano is doing as far as her career goes, of like who she could possibly fight next. But if I'm going to give out a wild guess, there's really not that much tough competition for her. I personally believe Amanda Serrano, she is just a bad style matchup for a lot of ladies. But if we could predict to see where her career is going to go at 135, I would probably say some good opponents that she can scrap it up with before a Katie Taylor fight. I would probably say maybe I don't know. Sorry. I would probably say, if we're gonna look at the top 10, I would say the first opponent would be Yanina Del Carmen Lescano. She's 9-1. She's ranked 3 on BoxRec. 25 years old, out of Concordia, Argentina. Very beautiful lady. Very talented. Not really too much of a good power puncher, but she's decent per se. She doesn't have any knockout power, but I would say if Amanda is going to stay busy with that type of fighter, I wouldn't mind that fight. if we want to go like top 25, I'd probably say a good opponent would be maybe Maria Monillo. Even though she's 8-1, she's 29 years old out of Montevideo, Uruguay. Not a bad fight. I wouldn't mind that fight if that could be up on the table. Or if she could face Estelle Yoka Mosley, I think that would be a beautiful fight. She doesn't have knockout power, but Amanda, she would brutally stop her. But still, if you want to make a statement to all the young up and coming prospect, contender status, ladies. Because I think, if anything, take the IBO away from her, beat that girl up and give her some problems. So I think that would be a good little coming out party for the 135 division. But if that can't work out, I'd say the fourth opponent would be maybe, I'd like to say Natasha Jonas, but I kind of feel like Natasha, she would not want to take that fight, and she would get brutally stopped by Amanda. But that would be a good fight per se. I wouldn't mind that fight. But if we want to be realistic, I maybe might want to see. I don't know, man. It's gonna be very difficult. But maybe Yamila Belin Abeyaneda. Uh, Obviously, like Amanda said, she's coming back or the recent reports have said that she could be coming back in December, but I'm not so sure of who she will be fighting that will be available at that time. But if we're gonna say contender level ladies, I would probably say somebody in the top 15, because it makes all the sense in the world to face either of these ladies that are at the top, which their records are really not that good, and their level of competition they face is not that known. So I wouldn't be surprised if she fights some girl that we don't know, and then it's going to be Katie Taylor. But I don't think Katie's going to fight Amanda. But if Amanda could use her WBO status to force herself to become a mandatory to Katie Taylor, by all means, try it, see what happens, get Katie Taylor out of there, knock her out, put that fight on a big card, maybe like an Errol Spence or like whatever top, known fighting, fight card. I'd like to see it. Have that out in like Vegas, or maybe I don't know, maybe like I guess like New York City if you really want to try to have that fight, which I don't think that's a good fight economically per se, because but the economy is just that bad and so ass backwards. But I guess if you want to have that fight, go for it. But I think if you want big money made, I think Vegas would be at the right spot, and definitely have it on Showtime. Don't do not make this fight, you know, free on fucking DAZN, or people just have to pay the fucking subscription for that. No, have that fight on pay per view on a big card. Shit, I personally wouldn't mind it if it was like on a Jake Paul card, but Jake Paul wasn't at the main event. He was at the co-main event to an actual main event. It would like if it was like fucking like Mike Tyson versus like I'm just making shit up. Like Mike Tyson versus like another fighter, and then you had Jake Paul as the co-main, which I wouldn't give two craps about that, but still, that would be pretty good. But if we're talking like real fighters, definitely put it next to at least like a maybe like a Devin Haney card or whatever. I would like that, and whatever happens next for Miss Queen Serrano, I'm all for it, and I hope she beats the crap out of her next opponent, because she coming down for the beatdown. Shout out to the beautiful Puerto Rican queen, Miss Amanda, the real deal Holyfield 2.0 Serrano. But whatever is going to happen next, I'll keep you guys updated. Mostly that information is captured or known through Kano Local Sports. So I'm pretty sure if Kano, if he comes out with a good update on that, I'm more than likely to take a look at that, and I'll get right back with you guys on that. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry. All right, I'm back. I just had something going on. It just happens at times. All right, we're almost done. We got three more topics, and then we will get up out of here. Chantal Cameron versus Mary Mcgee post fight thoughts. Um, that was a good fight. I give Chantal Cameron all the credibility in the world. She did amazing. I thought that Mary Mcgee, she could have done way better. She could have done a lot better, especially from a boxing, technical point of view. I kind of felt like she was allowing Chantal to hit her with like a lot of unnecessary shots, in which she should have been a lot more disciplined enough to, counter those shots when she was coming in without the straight right hand and using her jab a lot, which she was obviously fighting off of her back foot, and that's what a educated boxer would do. But I think with Mary's puncher style, she is only looking for the knockout, and um, I don't get why she just couldn't use that power to the body. Because when she was hitting Chantal to the body, Chantal she shook up a lot, and she wasn't looking as agile, in the beginning rounds. But I kind of believe that if Mary had worked to her body more, she definitely would have stopped Chantal very quick. Um, I think that's that was the biggest flaw to Mary. She wasn't using those strengths, as her minor adjustments to try to work more to the body downstairs instead of just head hunting upstairs. So whatever Mary decides to do for the rest of her career, I'm pretty sure she'll be back. It's it's not the first time that she's ever lost, but she never lost on a very devastating performance. So Chantal, she definitely earned that belt, and she definitely did what she had to do. So she definitely earned my respect. Chantal Cameron, she's definitely given me a lot of Josh Taylor vibes. Only for the sake that she's not running away from any smoke. She's actually very, very dedicated in her career, and I don't think she doesn't do anything else, undisciplined other than just focus on boxing and try to be great and what she can try to be the best that she can be at. And for those of you that don't know, now that she has won the IBF belt from Mary, she's now the unified super lightweight champion for the WBC and the IBF. And she basically just has one fight left between I believe Kaylee Reese and Jessica Camara for her WBO and WBA, and I want to say the IBO could be on the line. I'm not too sure, but still, if that's on the line, go for it. That will be the undisputed final match in this mini four-man tournament or four-fighter tournament that I guess she's a part of. So much love and respect to Mary, including you, Chantal. You are a very good fighter. I had some doubts of Chantal's, skill set, just simply because of her level of opposition. But now she's definitely showing to me that she can box, she can bang, but at the same time, she knows how to outwork an opponent when she has, the fight in her hands. So she definitely did her thing, and she proved to me that just because I do take shots doesn't mean that she's not being smart about it. She's obviously using that as a sign of motivation to say that I could walk through this opponent and I could still box and bang with that opponent to outsmart them at their own game. So that's really clever out of Chantal, and I hope that she can reach her goal to be undisputed. But I think Kaylee Reese will be a much more difficult task for her. But whoever wins that fight between her and Jessica Camara, which Jessica Camara, she's not that known of a fighter, but she can hit. She can definitely do some damage. But I think between her and Kaylee, that's going to be a very difficult fight. Kaylee didn't look that good against Diana Prozic. Some said that she actually had won that fight. Diana Prozic over Kaylee, but Kaylee said she was willing to give her a rematch. But I guess there was really no need for that, to happen anyway. So, you know, here we are for the undisputed tournament. So I personally think if Kaylee Reese, if she comes out better against Jessica Camara, and she could give a really tough 50-50 matchup to Chantal Cameron, and whoever wins that fight, um, may the best female win. I'll definitely give Chantel and Kaylee, their roses, because they're warriors, including Mary, and including Jessica as well. I'm I, I'm happy enough that women's boxing is definitely doing this, so that way it can, like basically shine light to all the other divisions to try to mandate these undisputed fights to happen at their respective divisions. So whatever can happen, let's just try to make it happen. Because, who knows if Chantal, if she becomes undisputed and she moves up to 147, that'd be pretty good to see her, collide with Jessica McCaskill. I wouldn't mind that. That would be awesome. And, let's just say if she could fight, you know, if she could fight possibly, I'm just saying possibly, but if she could get a fight with, Clarissa Shields at 154, that would be an amazing fight. But who knows? Whatever the future may hold, I'd like to see that happen. So whatever happens, out of this undisputed tournament, may the best female win. Sorry about that. I just have a little bit of phlegm caught up in my throat, but basically, I'm just happy that women's boxing is doing this. It's much needed for the sport to grow, and hopefully, boxing can have some sort of a marketized institution where these fighters should be forced to fight the best. And when you become a champion in a respected, like let's say, let's just say a fight league, division, or a fight league, competitive, association, you should be forced to fight all the best competition. And even when you become a champion within that organization, it should either be one face, one name. But if there's going to be multiple champions, those champions need to fight each other, because we just can't be calling people multiple champions in a division that has a good load of talent. That's not how sports should work. Like we see that in other sports, that all the teams come together and they compete um, against each other to show who is the best within that entire league. So why can't boxing have that? I personally believe boxing needs to have that, because that will definitely uplift the sport to be a lot more stronger and a lot more competitive, to inspire a lot more people to get into the sport and make people feel more comfortable of daring to be great in the sport, regardless if they win or lose. So I'm happy that women's boxing had this. Much love to Chantal Cameron once again, and same to Mary Mcgee. I hope she does very well in whatever she does in her last, chapters in her career. And I was happy to see that fight, because that was a very competitive, bloody fight. Chantal, she almost got actually stopped a couple times by Mary's power, but she was able to outbox Mary and keep the distance. And she definitely gave Mary some issues, but Mary, she just kept on coming and just giving her issues with her power. But Chantal, weathered the storm, and she, had a really good, unanimous decision victory over her. So, much love and respect to Chantal Cameron and Mary Mcgee. All right, so the next topic, we're going to talk about the king, the warrior, Mr. Pound for Pound himself, Deontay the Bronze Bomber, out of that Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Oh my God. There is updates coming from his team, including Malik King Scott himself, saying that Deontay Wilder should be set to make his ring return um, sometime in February or no, not in February, sometime in April or May of this upcoming next year in 2022. Um, that is, I want to say, confirmed by Tay Jones, if I'm not mistaken, because Tay Jones was talking about it on his channel. So if you guys want to take a look at that, please go check him out. He's a very intellectual fighter himself, and he is very connected with Deontay Wilder, and he is very, very smart with what he talks about because he has all the information you need to know of what he has in boxing as we speak. But Deontay Wilder should make his ring return sometime in April or May of that following next year. So he'll definitely have a good 6+ month, recovery. Who knows if it's gonna take 7 months or whatever. I'm happy for it. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry. So yeah, Deontay Wilder should make his ring return sometime in April or May, however long that he needs to recover. But obviously, my stance still goes as I have it. Um, I would like to see Deontay Wilder. Uh, I want to see him possibly face. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I want to see him face. I don't know who could be a good possible opponent, but if I could see it somewhere in the future, I would like to see him possibly face. Hmm, it's very difficult, but I like to see him face Charles Martin. I think that would be a good number one opponent for him to take out and knock off. If that's a good opponent that he could get him out the way, so that way he could become a mandatory to Usyk's titles or the winner of Usyk and Fury if they're ever going to unify for Undisputed. But if that's not going to be a possibility, I'd go after Andy Ruiz. That would be a pretty easy victory for Walter, but Ruiz, he can still hit. But Walter, he will definitely have a good coming out party, and that will be looked at as a good sellable fight of the what if fight if Walter and Fury or Walter and Ruiz met each other for Undisputed, which that would basically be for Undisputed. As far as with the fight being sold, the fight should have happened for Undisputed. That's a good sellable fight. Number three, I would definitely have to go with a guy like definitely Dillian White. I want to see Walter beat the shit out of him. I think Dillian White would give Walter some problems, but when Walter cracks him, Dillian White, he just cannot win because he's shown to be very susceptible to big shots. And when Walter hits guys like Dillian White, he's just gonna fold. He's gonna basically resort to survival mode, and I could definitely see him getting stopped pretty bad. So Dillian White is definitely not going to be a big challenge for Walter. So I think that's a good third victim for Walter to beat the crap out of. Number four, I like to see maybe Joe Joyce. I'm not so sure if that's worth a fight, but I can easily see Walter beat the crap out of him. Walter is basically a bad style matchup for a guy like Joe Joyce. I don't see Joe Joyce making any adjustments to Walter. Walter's going to hard pressure him to the body, and he's just going to slow his ass down, making Joe Joyce basically, decapitate himself into oblivion. But I'd like to see that fight. But whatever may happen in the future, if that fight can be made, if Walter ever becomes a champion, which I'm pretty sure he can, I definitely like to see that. Uh, Number five is a bit risky. I'm not so sure if that's worth a fight being made, but maybe Frank Sanchez could be a good opponent. Frank Sanchez is similar to Luis Ortiz, but just as an orthodox fighter. He's a pure boxer puncher, but if Walter could get a fight with him, I could definitely see Walter giving Frank Sanchez a shitload of problems, and I don't see Frank Sanchez walking Walter down. He's going to sit on his bicycle, sit on his back foot, and he's going to be extremely careful to Walter. But even if he try to hit Walter to a sweet spot, if that dent in his skull isn't that well healed enough, that might be a really bad night for Walter. But then again, I think Walter, he's fine. He's been through worse wars than that, and I think Walter, he would obliterate Frank Sanchez, but Frank Sanchez would be a good 55-45 matchup for Walter. So I don't know. Those are good possible opponents that Walter could face, but preferably for me, if he wants to be back up on the table for world title fights, I try to go after a guy like Charles Martin, because he hasn't been active for that long, and he's just been out the picture like forever. Like, I haven't heard anything about him, and it's kind of sad because it's like you ought to think like he'd be back into the mix, but no, he's just not talked about. He's just basically put under a rock, and nobody doesn't even talk about him, which is really sad. But I truly believe if he could get that IBF spot, take his ass out, I definitely like to see that, because I don't think Charles Martin is doing anything, you know, uh, credible for his career, and I think it would be good to see Walter take him down. And, better yet, Martin, he's a southpaw, so I think that would be a good fight. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Wilder. I can't wait for the King to, return. Hopefully the champ can do what he has to do and, just prove to the world why he's, number one. I think Wilder, he's basically back on top once Fury and Usyk, they're done. But, Wilder, he's going to basically become a bad nightmare to many fighters, and he's going to gain his redemption to greatness and conquest once again. So for the final topic, let's talk about, is Jaron Ennis the next 147-pound boxing demon king? Who should he fight next? When will his title opportunity come? Title shot next year, according to reports for 2022 mystery. I know that I've covered this earlier, but I want to just make a final point before I get up out of here. I believe Jaron Ennis is the next 147-pound, pound for pound boxing, boxing demonoid king. I think he is absolutely fearless. He is the most feared. He is the most deadliest fighter that you could ever see on paper. But I'd say as a fighter, he's yet to prove himself to the top of the division, which I think he's not that far away from being number one, which I truly believe he can defeat a lot of guys, in 147. But that's yet to come because Jaron Ennis, he's not that type of guy where he is not going to go through some form of adversity. But I think real adversity will come to him when he faces, guys by the likes of Errol Spence or Virgil Ortiz, or, let's just say Butaev can give him some problems. I don't know, but I think Jaron Ennis, he's more than capable to dominate the 147-pound division, and he's not no hype job. He's definitely a very good, well-decorated fighter that puts in all the hard work and talent to be ready for the fight. But I guess what we're trying to say is, how would he scale against big, heavy-hitting 147-pounder welterweights? And that's really the biggest question, because everybody wants to see him in the ring with Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter and Danny Garcia and Errol Spence, but obviously we just can't see those fights because none of them don't want to fight them. I mean, EJ definitely wants to fight Boots, but Danny Garcia, Terrence Crawford, and whoever is next in line, they don't want to pick up that number for Jaron Ennis. And it's pretty sad because it's like Jaron Ennis, he wants to fight the best, but nobody's not giving him his opportunities, similar to what EJ had been denied for so long until he got his first title shot at 26 years old, which was very sad, because it's like Errol Spence could have been a champion earlier, but now we just see what the political suppression that's thrown on Boots, because he is just such a big danger to so many fighters. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to dominate the division. Whether that's going to be him and Virgil Ortiz seeing each other for undisputed or whoever, I personally don't care. I think Jaron Ennis, he is, the goods, and I think whatever he does for, the rest of his career, he's definitely in it for, the, legacy passion, and he's going to be dominating a lot of guys at 147. I think his toughest competition would probably be, I'll probably say Gervonta Tank Davis. He's definitely going to have to see Tank at some point. But I think Jaron Ennis, he's he's going to move up to 154 by the time Tank tries to go to 147. But hey, if he can make 147, by all means, I like to see that fight. That would be a very destructive, very fast-paced, very difficult fight for both fighters. And I'm pretty sure Gervonta Tank Davis, he is not afraid of calling Boots out. He could easily tell Boots, like, look, you from you from Philadelphia, but I'm from the mean streets of Baltimore, and we just don't play around like that. We like now, we go after people that think that they're tough, and we basically, wipe them out into oblivion. And I'm pretty sure, Boots' team is probably listening to that. But look, I'm just saying to you guys, like, whatever Ennis is gonna do at 147, he better be ready for all the guys coming up from 140 to 147. Because if Tank is up at 147 and he says, "Look, I want Boots," that's going to speak a lot of volume. But even if Boots goes up to 154, we know who's going to be, riding that division once Charlo and Castano get their business done at 154 for Undisputed. But it's definitely not going to be no, like, crappy fighters. It's going to be like guys like Jamonte Clark maybe one day, Erickson Lubin, Terrell Gachet, maybe Sebastian Fundora, but I highly doubt it. I could definitely see Michael Fox up there at 154, but I'm sure Michael, he's going to stay at 147. Evan Holyfield, he's coming down to 147. Like, dude, like 147 and 154 are the hottest divisions in boxing. I kid you not. Those divisions are like the big ass money divisions in boxing. From like 147 all the way up to 168. That is like the best divisions in boxing. And that's simply because like there's so many good premier level fights you can make. And those fights need to be made right now before these fighters just age, themselves out. And then the fight is just not sellable. You know what I'm saying? But, like all these fights can sell. Like if you gave me $100 million to make boxing fights, I would make all the best fights possible. I would seriously just go after these fighters and tell them, look, I'm going to give you what the hell you want. I'm going to give that fighter what the hell he or she wants. And we going to make these damn fights happen. I don't care what anyone says. There's no promoter politics. There's just simply, what do you want? What do you want? Let's make the fight happen. I don't care. I'm going to put the price on it. I'm going to make them pay-per-view for the fights that actually do make sense. And then I'm going to make a damn good-ass undercard, and then boom. That's what I would do. But I would never do that because I'd rather just talk boxing. And even if you paid me to become a, I guess on the side type of online boxing journalist, I wouldn't do that either. I'd rather just make money, doing this type of stuff if it were to be a thing. And guess what? If it's worth for me to get paid to go out to events and start covering, certain fighters and certain venues, I would do it. But I'm not going to do that because, one, it's not available to me yet. But then again, I'm doing all this stuff because I just love talking sports. And shit, if I was able to go to NBA games and do the same thing, oh, dude, you'd be seeing me everywhere. But maybe, hopefully, someday in the future, if that's a possibility. But yeah, let's just finish up this topic, and then I'll get up out of here. I'm definitely well over an hour. But is John Ennis the next 147-pound boxing Demon King? I personally believe so. Yes. I would probably say his title shot has to come through either the IBF or the WBO. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaron Ennis is next in line to probably face Errol Spence for the IBF. But if not, I would definitely like to see him face Butaev for the WBA. I think that makes the most sense for Jaron Ennis's career, for him to basically fight the winner of Butaev and Jamal James, which we all know Jamal James, he got knocked the F out. So I think maybe if it's possible, Jaron Ennis and his father need to sit down and they need to really think this out. And I think the next step should be Butaev. I think that is an easy ticket to get to Ugas, or probably get to honestly, no, if you really think about it, no, I don't think so. Because I believe Butaev will probably fight the winner of Ugas and Stanionis. And I really hope it's not like that. I really hope it's like Butaev, he could fight Boots, and then after Ugas beats Stanionis, which I am pretty sure Stanionis, he's not going to have a chance to beat Ugas, which I'm favoring Ugas to destroy Stanionis. But let's just say Stanionis beats him. It should be that winner should face the winner of Radza Butev versus Jaran Buzenis. So I think that's what's going to be made, because the WBA can't be this stupid to just put Jaran Ennis out the picture and not expect him to be up for a title shot grab sooner than later. Because I do not want to see Jaran Ennis get a title at like 26, 27 years old. He needs to get it now. Like, literally, he needs to get it now. He cannot just be sitting on the sidelines. He needs to get back up inside that ring, say to Showtime, look, I want these guys, put somebody right up in front of me, knock his ass out, and then boom, he's on his way. But I think the next step is going to have to be Butev. Because who else can I really think of that's going to have the actual balls to fight Ennis? Some say Blair Cobbs, which I heard Blair Cobbs, he's willing to fight him, but that fight is not elevating him to a world title. So, if anything, he needs to really petition to become a mandatory, because if he can't do anything until these sanction bodies wake the F up and give Jaran Ennis his opportunity, until then, I'm not going to give two craps about who's going to fight Boots. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch him fight because I love Jaran Ennis and I, respect his style and I respect his whole camp and his whole team. But let's just be honest, Jaran Ennis, he is not in a good position right now. He should have been a champion 2+ years ago, and yet he is being thrown under the bus. And I really hope it's not like that, because these sanction bodies, I swear to God, I wish they were out of boxing, because you should not have to wait this goddamn long to get a fucking title. You should not wait this goddamn long to be a world champion. It should have been earlier in his career when he's like 22, 23. I would definitely like that out of Jaran Ennis. But sadly, in this crappy world that we live in, the boxing world is so backwards to the point where what we want is not what we're going to get. Like, everything's so goddamn backwards. But I hope Jaran Ennis gets a title shot by the start of 2022. According to his team, and I guess according to his father, they should be on their way to getting a title shot, because if anything, he's going to have to get a title shot or become a mandatory in a world title eliminator. And I'm pretty sure he's right. He's right there. The question is when. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I had a lot of fun breaking this down. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Jaran Boots Ennis is, the goods at 147? Do you think, this division is going to be shook up? I personally think so, but I don't know where things will go from here. That was pretty much it for my topics. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know not a lot of people show up to the lives, but I just do it just to cover the content and just give you guys a good show. So yeah, until then, thank you guys for watching. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And this is Kieran Rodriguez. I am out. Long live Puerto Rico, even though that we had 4 losses, unfortunately, yesterday. But guess what? Puerto Rican boxing will still live on forever, and we will be victorious. So, love all my Puerto Ricans. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.